And then phase 2 is about finding your shark. And I'll admit, this is the hardest bit. This is about finding a big company across the world, the right partner, but also the right partner in the right markets. So if you want to develop your business in those E7 companies, if you want to target that female consumer, if you recognize that it's the nanotechnology which is supporting sustainability products, which is the biggest growth area, then who is the partner who's going to help you get into that market? And how can you approach them? Because if you just write them a letter to the CEO of Procter & Gamble, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, they'll say, who are you? So finding the right way to get started, finding the right way to approach this company, find the right way to demonstrate how good you can be is essential. A good starting point for you, this case, is to use adjacent market mapping. We've talked about this before, but thinking about where are you now as a business and what is adjacent to you as a business. So if you make engines for cars, you could make engines for aircraft. If you make engines for aircraft, you could make engines for ships. In thinking of your countries, think about not just geographical closeness, but cultural closeness or demographic makeup closeness. If you look at the E7, typically the demographic profile in terms of age, the largest number of people are in the 20 to 29 age group compared to the G7 where it's 45 to 49 age group. So thinking about which is the closest cultural countries to you. And then think about how can I do business there? And then say what's adjacent to that and what's adjacent to that. And then think about the customer or the consumer and think about where is my customer? Where does my customer want to go? Which I could help them get there. Where are the similar types of customers in large numbers to what I have? So if I serve agricultural businesses, where is there other large agricultural economies? And then think about what is the strategy for getting to the next step each time. So if you think about something like a big company like Nike, Nike started off in America making running shoes for men. And then it said, how can we get into other markets? Over time it said, well, basketball is an adjacent category for men in America. And then it said, how can I really get into other parts of the world where running or basketball isn't so big? And they thought soccer as an adjacent category. Soccer enabled them to get into Brazil, get into India, get into China in a way which they couldn't get otherwise. And then they thought, you go to this Nike store, and it's pumping with adrenaline and noise, and it's all masculine. How can you reach out to the female consumer? And so it started to develop products in the chosen markets, which are for the female consumer. And you'll see just very close to here, Nike women shops, completely different from Nike men shops. And so reaching out to different markets. So you can look at what are the possibilities, what are the different ways, what are the different markets in terms of countries, categories, or customers you could be reaching out to. And then think about which ones will I choose, because do not choose them all. Do not even choose countries as necessarily your growth path. It might be category, it might be customer. What is the priority? Which is the one you want to take down? And then find a partner who would be the ideal person to take you down that path. So you've got to fuse your uniqueness with now your partner. And some companies who do this start with a slightly strange one, Johnny Depp. Those of you who've seen Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter walking across the table, will recognize Johnny Depp and his uniqueness. Ever since Edward Scissorhand, working with a producer, his shark, called Tim Burton. And Johnny Depp, working with Tim Burton, time after time after time, has grown from an obscure TV star into one of the most famous and most desired movie stars in the world today, grossing over $2.6 billion for his movies. So how can you move further with that partner like Johnny does with Tim? Or take Golla. Golla, the Finnish company, who was only created in 1994 and still today only has 60 people working with them. Golla started off making small bags for technical equipment, for laptops, for mobile phones, for MP3 players. Golla quickly started working with Nokia. They became the outsourced partner for actually providing bags for Nokia's phones. And through that, they reached the world. They rode on the back of Nokia's distribution channels and global presence to reach places which they would never have dreamed of reaching otherwise. And then Golla, through a broadening of its relationship, recognized that I've used Nokia to reach different parts of the world. Now I can be even more successful. And through a non-exclusive contract, they were able to work with other electronic manufacturers too. And so now Golla is the world's most successful IT accessory. A small company, still with 60 people in Finland. Or take Whedon and Kennedy, an advertising agency. So this one is not a product, this is a service. This is creative talent. Dan Whedon started the advertising agency called Whedon and Kennedy in 1982 in Portland, Oregon. This was the year when Nike started as well. Dan was friends with Phil Knight, the guy who started Nike. When Phil asked his girlfriend to create a swoosh for the first ever shoes, which were imported from China, and then they put the swoosh on, Dan helped him to create that. Dan did his first advertising for him. This is when Whedon and Kennedy was one person, or two people, and Nike was four people. And over the years, over the 30 years, Nike has grown to be the most successful sports brand in the world. And Whedon and Kennedy has grown with Nike as a pilot fish. So Whedon and Kennedy is now the most admired advertising agency in the world. It still works with Nike. It still does the majority of Nike's ads all around the world. But it also does Coca-Cola's and Honda's and many other people. So it has grown up by being a pilot fish, uniquely working with somebody who is local to it in Portland, Oregon, America, and grown up over time to be a global player in its own field. Phase 3. So you've got uniqueness, you've found a partner. Now you need to start working together. And this is the hardest bit, because it's not just about supplying parts. It's not just about exporting, as we'd call it. It's about working together with those companies. And this might be giving them a product, or it might be providing a service and support and capability which they never have, or it's too expensive for them to have, or they just don't have the time or urgency to develop it.